my vice. Man up from Mars, he tripping, I put that on guard. I got the digits, but I am not calling. Wizard at night, this be that forum. I'm still stacked with that. Sunshine after that. Still stacked with that. Sunshine after that. So yeah, you know, I had a conversation with her, but it's like the signals is always crossed. I mean, like, I say yes, cause she asked me to say yes. And then she's like, I didn't want you to say yes. I wanted you to understood that a yes was required to answer the question. I was like, what?
Welcome to the last show of the season. Tonight, after tonight, we're on hiatus, but welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for Grown Folk Talk. Tonight, we have had this whole series around masculinity and femininity and all these things. We've covered so much this season. So I'm so excited because tonight we are talking about things that I think are always, I'm not going to say it's always relevant, but it's still relevant today. Colorism. Is it programming or prejudice? So y'all get ready, get those cocktails, because we want those fingertips loose, and we want to hear your comments and questions for our panel tonight. And here at SI, we keep it lit and enlightening. So let's bring in my co-host, Lady Sunshine. A little extra fairy dust for the last day.
I know.
Right? It was right on cue and everything.
Yeah.
Sunshine, we are talking about a topic. We've had several shows about this, right? Colorism. Hi, Monique. We have had several shows about this. And it's interesting that we decided to kind of end the show, our season, with this.
Mm-hmm. And I think, although we've had several shows where this topic came up and it was actually relevant in each topic, I think this show is going to be a nice, healthy discussion on closing out the season on this topic.
Right. And you know, I the fact that we're talking about this, and you know, the BET Awards just happened and we were watching the whole thing around Ice Spice and what I think it was on Claudia Jordan's show that she has on like Fox, whatever it is. We're gonna play a little bit of clip because I think the thing is, it's just like we said, is it programming or prejudice? And I'm starting to believe. Thank you, Tanera. She said, "Hi, Angelina." Yes. So let's play the clip. Let's play the clip.
Let's play the clip. Yes.
Let's see what she got to say.
Do you think these colorism accusations are out of hand, or is there some merit to them? Q, I see. What do you think?
You know what? In this moment, there is no right answer, right? Because if I say colorism is not a fact, not all the dark-skinned girls, but the ones that walk around with that chip on their shoulder about being dark-skinned, they're going to have all types of shit to say. There's no right answer in this situation. I think the only thing that we can say is no one can say that for sure. And, you know, oftentimes people do experience trauma at the hands of being dark-skinned, and it shapes the way they view the world. But everything that you did not get is not because you're dark-skinned, and everything that somebody else got is not because they're light-skinned. We don't know. And I do like her answer. She like, shit, I'm just existing out here. I got a deal and I blew up. Maybe it's because I'm light-skinned. Maybe it's because I'm not. But y'all not finna guilt me into sitting up here saying I got what I got because I'm light-skinned and like I'm not talented. I don't know what the answer is, Claudia. Honestly, I don't think it's because she was light-skinned. Because if you want to know the truth about it, and God forgive me, and I know we're going to get backlash for this, she ain't a cute light-skinned, all right? Everything that's light ain't cute. It ain't like she was giving Megan Good. Honestly and truthfully, she looks very odd to me with that red hair. So I'm willing to lean towards It ain't cause she light skinned, cause she ain't the type of light skin y'all be talking about when y'all get mad and say somebody got something because they light skinned. Those type of light skins y'all talking about, the Claudia Jordans and the Megan Goods of the world.
Let's pause it right there.
Ice Spice.
Let's pause it right there. I love it. Cause he ain't lying.
He ain't lying, but one of the
Damn,
things
Gina, exactly, Keith. Damn. You know what? And I look, I think especially go ahead. Especially
I wanted, oh no, go ahead. I wanted to say just one thing that he said, and he said a lot of people, a lot of ladies, or a lot of people experience trauma for being dark skinned, but that goes the same for light skin too. And don't tell me that people have not experienced trauma for being light skinned as well.
I think as Black people, we just have trauma. Period. Let's call it out based on what we look, whether it's whether it's. I mean, it all stems from color and our closeness to whiteness. Let's start there, right? So yes, she is light skinned. Like he said, she ain't cute light skinned, but she there is let's be clear, it's a privilege to it. I mean, there is privilege. There is even though her features or whatever, and girl, I call her Old Dirty Spice. I'm sorry, but Old Spice, what is it? Ice Spice. Ice Spice is Ice Spice. Lord have mercy. I'm gonna get canceled for that one. Ice Spice to me is there is not negating her talent, but the media still portrays a look that closer to what's marketable.
So let me ask you a question though, because we have the Glorillas of the world and the Meg the Stallions of the world that also made it and also got a deal, a record deal. I mean, Glorilla, I don't know if you even know her or who she is.
I saw her and I was like, who is this?
Exactly. And then they had some girl, with a bag of money in their hands, and they all having their record deals and they're all doing well. I don't know if they're spending more money on Ice Spice versus a Glorilla or whatever, but I'm not gonna. And I agree with him. You can't make the argument that she's doing well because she's just light skinned. She has some talent too.
Right, but when you think about let's take it back. Let's take it back to our generation. Okay. Let's take it back to our generation. When we think about the celebrities that we were enticed by, they were of a more of a lighter hue. I think about the whole India.Arie and Alicia Keys came out. Alicia Keys has a hell of a career. Everybody's like, where's India.Arie? Was she a one-hit wonder? Not saying, the talent, was it not equal? I don't know. But I don't
know if the talent was equal, but I don't want to be up in a club singing "I'm Not My Hair" and all that stuff. I'm not saying that she was not talented. Don't get me wrong, and this has nothing to do with her skin color. Her songs are beautiful. She has a beautiful voice, but I'm just not running to an India.Arie concert to be like, power to the people. I'm not running to an Alicia Keys concert either. But
when you think about what is marketable and what is beauty, and also when you think about it, just programming, like even when we would think about who was going to pick us, right? I feel like it's just like first of all, how light were you? How straight your hair was? What were your features looking like? So on. We start having all those conversations. Oh, you look like Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams and Jasmine Guy was like the whatever back in the day. Now, right. Yes, Alicia Keys is talented. She can sing and play. But India.Arie came out at the same time. I've seen
both.
Can
she sing and play? Can she sing and play?
Sing, or she can sing, play. She can sing. That great. She can sing, right? And she can play guitar and everything else. Yes, I love India.Arie too, Tanera.
I love India.Arie.
When you look at the two, I feel like Alicia Keys plays chopsticks, and
I
I'm
love
sorry.
India Irie. I
I'm sorry.
love Alicia Keys. I'm not gonna put one talent over the
I'm
other
not. I'm
because
being.
I'm not like a music executive or anything like that. And I don't know how their record sales are, whatever. I know Alicia Keys is still relevant up to today.
She is, and NDRE is trying to just get a deal, get that good. I mean, I just either way, I think the thing is, it's just like even when we talk about Black women, because I think it is different. I think let's play the set. Let's play the light skinned brother. I think it's Al. It's that Star Jones old husband. And let's play the second part of that video before we jump into our panel.
Everything you didn't get is because we dark skinned. Although we do acknowledge that colorism 1000% exists in the music industry. We know this for a fact. In this case, I think it's more that she's an odd looking woman. And the kids are liking it. Like she kind of has that Ronald McDonald hair, the little orphan Annie, and it makes her so unique. I hate the wig. I can't stand it, but it makes her memorable. It makes her unique. She's not doing the same thing everyone else is doing. It makes her stand out. And to say someone's got something just because of their color is kind of fucked up to their talent when they have talent, because it's like you're just going to overlook everything else that they have going on. If she was a talentless woman, you might have an argument for something. But when someone has talent, I think that's kind of like a cop-out. And it's kind of like, I don't like that. But we will acknowledge, I am acknowledging 1000%. You hear music industry, labels, they do all kinds of shady shit, especially to women. And they definitely put a lot of money behind lighter skinned personalities. But I agree with Q on that one. I think her look is more very odd and unique. And
Exactly,
and
Monique.
okay. She's a big artist with the kids. Because she's with them, and it's like unique. It's cute.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. I thought we had Al Q, but it's okay. We'll come back to it later. But I think, like she says, the music industry does put.
How does she know that? Is she in the music industry? She don't know.
I think.
I mean, I'm not going to turn a blind eye and say that it's not true. Don't get me wrong, but she don't know. Where's the facts? Where's the data?
Anthea, think about it. I mean, but think about the people that are of darker hues that we market. Really? We got, what do we have? We have Joy, right? I mean, you have.
I'm talking about
I'm talking about in media across the board, whether it's music, acting, or whatever. We can probably count on. I mean, we are expanding because of what's going on. It is expanding, but yes, the music industry is primarily still fair-skinned women.
Right, yes, but I'm talking about Claudia Jordan's claim that they do spend more money on lighter skin. I mean, that's just something that she believes is happening. I'm just like, where is the proof of that? The other thing that I also have one quick thing to say is when we talk about preferences, oh Lord, and we're going to get into that, I'm sure, very soon. I never understood. When I say I like a dark skin, I prefer a dark skinned guy. And a lot of us say that. I don't really get any sort of huge backlash. But when a man says, I like a light skinned woman, I hear a lot more
I think
feedback
because
about that.
I think because we're women, our value is laid in our beauty and how close we are to being exotic or whiteness or so on and so forth. Whereas men, I think it's just about soft or hard, power or whatever. I mean, it's kind of based in looks, but I think with women, we're a lot more under the microscope of, are we closer to what is the references of beautiful? So I think, to me, that's why I think it's more relevant with us. But let's bring in our panel.
Yes, let's bring them in.
Let's bring them in because
I know they got a lot to say.
I know they do. Come on. Hi, panel. We got a good one tonight. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Right between me and Anthony is Miss Quiet Storm, Riri. We got Dr. Reggie, Lord Jesus. We got Kim, the Nikki Goddess, and Lord, we got Michael. You know what? We have been pre-gaming about this show all week. So I know y'all got it going on. So before we jump into the questions, what did y'all think about what was said with Claudia Jordan and Ice Spice? I just want to. I just go ahead, Reggie. I kind of want to.
Well, I didn't watch the EBT Awards show because I already
He said EBT Awards. Shady.
Reggie.
because I already knew what kind of nonsense and debauchery and all kind of just goofy, walking stereotypes that they were going to put on the show. It's been something that's been building over the years. I think the last decent show they had was when they had like Mary J. Blige. They were really kind of doing a salute to all the great 90s, early 2000s. Right. They had Faith on there. It was really kind of musical, and people on there with talent. Yeah. They had Carl Thomas, and so people could really sing. But now I was watching the clips that I saw. It was just like a zoo.
Isn't it white on now?
No, Tyler Perry.
Oh, he did buy it.
It's a coconut now. It's black on the outside, but very white on the inside. In my opinion, you have a lot of people who take, our talent and they make it for them to be very entertaining. So that's the way that I looked at it. That night was like the parts that I did see, because I turned it off and I turned it back on. It was like the same loop. It was the same loop over and over again.
Right. But coming back to the question around colorism and what they said about, I'm talking about the programming of color.
Yeah. So the programming from that aspect, I saw that it was, of course, we always have the light skin, dark skin thing come on. The darker the person, the more buffoonery we're going to make them, seem on television. The lighter skin person is always going to be treated, a little bit differently. We're going to put more focus on them because the audience that they really are trying to get into to love the entertainment of us is people who are in the dominant society, who are really white people. So with that being said, we have to put that representation of light-skinned people on television because, quote unquote, they're more palatable to the executives who own the TV shows, the stockholders who are, part of the BET network. More importantly, Viacom, who actually owns BET. So that's who they really cater towards. They're trying to entertain their stockholders, not really the general public. We may buy the sneaker commercials and things like sneakers from the commercials, but in large numbers, their main focus is on the stockholders.
But okay. But I mean, it's primarily us watching the BET Awards. If you go on Facebook, I mean, at least within my circle, the comments that I was seeing was definitely coming from us, or at least the younger generation.
I think what they do is, they are forcing the images on us, right? They're saying this is what your culture will be. This is what you're going to appreciate. This is what you're going to like. And outside of even colorisms, if you look at the songs and the performances of the women, right? Talking about their peas are all over the place and my pea is pink and this part is brown. And I mean, those are the kind of lyrics the women were singing, right? Men weren't up there singing about their penises.
Yes, they are. Yes, they were.
Not the way that it is now.
Not.
Okay, but I want us to get back on topic for y'all. Talk about colorism, but y'all talk about the BET Awards. Let's stay on.
And male dominant sexual expression. But I wanted to just talk about the clip that we saw really quickly. I think two things can be true at one time. I like what the gentleman said in regards to not everything is colorism. That is very true.
That is true.
And at the same time, there are things that we know is distinctly colorist and colorism. So I think both of those things can be true at the same time. It doesn't have to be an either or situation. And for us as a community to be able to unpack both of those situations will help us, I think that it will help us decrease colorism more in our community.
Somebody said, please play the clip again. We'll come back to it, Mary Jane. We'll come back to it.
Comment. We'll put it on the comments. The clip, the link to the comment.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you can go on YouTube and put in on the search Claudia.
We'll drop it in the chat so y'all can watch it more. So let's move on, because this is not about the BET. This conversation is not about the BET Awards, but it is about. Look, we have been programmed I was programmed since 1972. We saw it. We know who was being picked as girls. We know as brothers who y'all were probably picking based on what was pretty. So it's always interesting, like, what does colorism mean to you now based on your life experience? I'm gonna go with Michael.
Oh,
come on, Michael.
Well, it's kind of, my situation is a bit different from what everyone experienced as far as colorism. I don't know why we're even using that word, because it doesn't matter who you like, right? It doesn't matter who you fall in love with.
Who do you like? Who do you?
I'm sorry.
Who do you like?
My preference?
Obviously,
yes, light-skinned sister. But that I think now, looking back, it's because of a situation I had growing up. Had a relationship with someone that was much older, who was light-skinned, green eyes, had the hair. It wasn't so much what I saw on TV or was influenced by. It was just my experience. And ever since, into adulthood, I've always dated a light-skinned sister.
Okay. All right.
Michael, are you from the islands?
Yes.
Okay.
The greatest revolution that ever happened in human history.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Impossible. Incorrect. If that's the case, why aren't you back in your island, saying it to your island and get your
Listen, I'm here to claim, since it was the Haitians that caused the United States to be the size that it is today, and save the. Anyway, that's a long story.
We ain't going down
rabbit hole.
We're going down a rabbit hole.
Man, if you don't stop. Hey, listen. My experience in colorism, it's from birth. I'm light skinned, but I think it's changed over the years because of the fact that when I was coming up, it was Harry Belafonte, it was Sidney Poitier. We had so many different spectrums of black, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I think the new phenomenon became very clear. Remember when we had the movie School Days?
Yes.
And Spike Lee pointed that out, and how we have began to become indoctrinated with the whole light skin, dark skin phenomenon. It wasn't until I went to a HBCU in the South that it was really more profound, that my light skin hue was kind of looked at as an advantage, because of the fact that people actually treated you different. And so I think out of slavery, we learned that because of the fact that the more closer that you were to, the complexion of your white slave owners, the more privilege that you got. You dig what I'm saying? And so that same attitude is taken even up until today, is that you'll see these models on these magazines. Even think about Beyonce. When we first met Beyonce back in the early 90s, Beyonce was a soul sister, but as she began to get these contracts with these major corporations, they began to lighten her skin. If you see her now, I just saw her at the Louis Vuitton collection 2 weeks ago, and she was damn near, like, whoa, who's Jay-Z with, his assistant, or is that Beyonce? So that's what I'm saying, is the way that they introduce it to us.
Reggie, I have a question for you really quick before we jump into everybody else. How were you treated differently? You said you were treated differently. How were you treated differently at your HBCU? It sounds like privilege.
Yeah. They just, people in the South just made more of a deal out of it, to me personally, than other people. But then I had to realize, how the South was, because again, Kentucky, where I am from, is considered sort of the Midwest, but we know it's not. but the South is very different. You know, you didn't have anything that was in the middle. You know, you just had either dark or you had white, and now you have this light-skinned brother who's, you know, at this historically black college and institution. You know, it's like, well, how do we kind of deal with that? Even though at the centerpiece of HBCUs, we know that they're all created for light-skinned, you know, offspring of the white slave masters. That's a history lesson. You know, we can discuss at a later date. But for the most part, it was just kind of like, you know, he's light skinned. You know, you've never seen anything like that. That's exotic. You know, it's like brothers today. You know, the closer they can get to a whiter hue, the better. You know, that's just the way the tradition through entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maria.
Reggie, I heard you say exotic, and I went only because that word is the trigger for me.
Got it.
Exotic translates to people wanting to put people further away from blackness, right?
But exotic means different. That's the only thing.
But it's a further away from blackness. It's saying you're not black, you're exotic.
Something different. What does colorism mean to you?
It means that. It means just that, right? It means talking about people, putting people in categories and treating people certain ways based on their complexion, based on something that nobody really has any control over. And it's favoring or discriminating against whichever way it happens to work in that particular realm, because there are people who have been treated on all points of the color spectrum who can give you good stories and can give you bad stories.
So Ree, the trigger word that you just said, exotic, is triggering for you. What does that mean to you?
When
you
people say
it to Reggie, but what does it mean to you in your experience?
What it means to me is that people are putting, because I've been called exotic, people are trying to put me further away from black. They want to explain me, right? They want to put me in something that kind of moves me to a different part, away from how I identify. Even if I don't present that way, that is how I identify. That is what I am. But people struggle with that. I've struggled with that based on how people have interacted with me or have categorized me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Quiet Storm. Miss Kimberly, bring it on.
Yes.
What is your experience? Go ahead.
So my experience is twofold. One, growing up as a military kid, I moved often, and I noticed that in different locations, colorism showed itself. In my family, I didn't experience it. My mom, my dad were light skinned, as they say, light, bright, damn near white. You know, in the South they say that. And then my sister was dark skinned. I identify as dark skinned, as well as my brother. We had every shade of hue of blackness in my family, so nothing was ever discussed about being prettier or not prettier. Now, when I went to school the first time, 9 years old, I was on the school bus and I was in Texas at the time. Now, Philly, I moved there. I didn't experience anything. And in in Buffalo, I didn't experience anything. Texas, on the other hand, was different. So we were the last kids on the bus. And there at the end, my neighborhood kids, we all started talking about colors and the sun getting us so tan, and we put our hands in a circle, and they were like, oh, you're this color and you're this color, and you look like you were left in the toaster too long. I was the darkest kid on the bus at the time. And you look like you were left in the toaster too. You're burnt toast. And for the rest of the year, I was burnt toast. Now, it didn't have such an effect on me because, again, I spent more time in my family that I told me that I was beautiful, and I grew up with that sort of esteem. And being in the military, I was gone the next year, you know, and I was in another location. High school, it was the pretty for a dark-skinned girl. So when I started being an adolescent, that was a compliment. It was a compliment. It wasn't a question that in the 90s, when someone said you were pretty for a dark-skinned girl, that was a compliment to me. And then we moved into BET, and how BET in college, everyone was light-skinned. And that was my place to push back. That was my place to say I'm beautiful regardless of the shade of my skin. And yeah, I grew my locks. I got very bohemian. I loved India Ari until I met her, and she's not a very nice person. So that might have something to do with her bad career.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
So-
Yes, ma'am.
Could I ask
Yes.
a question? And this may just be like really off the cuff question. And I know, Natalie, I'm sorry, but is there an expectation that we're supposed to be liked and be named beautiful everywhere we go? I mean, do we expect that everybody's supposed to like everything about us?
I'm,
And I ask that question because people are gonna always have an issue either with your size, your weight, your color, your hair, your teeth, your nose, your eyes, your ears. I
So-
mean,
What makes that true, Sunshine?
but I'm
To
just
ask that
saying,
How
question,
do
it's
you
like,
qualify that as true?
I want to believe the direction you're going with that question is,
uh-huh.
as a light-skinned person, yes, I know I'm light-skinned. However, I had the phenotype that I have a black phenotype. I have a big nose, I have Africanoid features that identify me as a black person. So I can't get away from that. As much as my light skin is what it is, my
Right.
phenotype is of a black person. So
Right.
I think
Same as Ice Spice.
what's happening now is they are definitively identifying people who really have more European, Eurocentric features so that they can really fit into that microcosm of what television wants to present as what black people look like. If that makes sense. So you see sisters going out getting their nose done, they're getting these injections, they're changing themselves aesthetically, and they're changing their phenotype. You dig what I'm saying? They're not all are changing what their bodies look like, meaning their breast and their behinds and things like that. But what's really crazy is while we're trying to get away from that, other people are really embracing that. You dig what I'm saying?
What do you mean we're
Yeah.
getting away from that, Dr. Reggie? What does that mean we're getting away from that?
Meaning that so people in Africa, say for instance, they're putting these creams on their face to whiten their skin. Okay. You're seeing people now who don't want to go to the beach anymore because it may make them too dark. They don't want to identify with being of darker hue. They want to make sure that they are as light as possible so they can be more acceptable, in maybe their workplace, whatever.
isn't that the whole idea that beauty is really entrenched in whiteness, and we have actually
Very Eurocentric.
so it's like, and why, like, we embrace it. Even people who are light skinned, we embrace, like, we look. I'm like Reggie. I have very African features, right? And some people be like, I'm light skinned cute. It depends on who you're talking to. But my thing is, it's like, how do you start to how do we start to remove certain things and bring ourselves to be like, okay, I do have some programming, because people be like, I ain't programmed, it's just my preference. And sometimes it is preference. Like Michael's like, I have a preference. It was my first experience.
My first,
but that was programming, right? That was his.
I don't know if
programming.
it's programming or experience. I'm not one to say. Michael, go ahead and speak to that.
How a program? I keep hearing this program. Your experience are going to shape your life, right?
Right.
I had a relationship from the age of 8 to 14 with someone who was light skinned. I wasn't programmed. Well, I don't know if you would say that's being programmed. Ever since, that has been my preference. But should we be punished for liking someone that's light skinned? Should I be punished as a black man for of a darker skin the fact that I like a light skinned woman? I want to put that to the panel.
No one is punishing you. No one is
not punishing me, but like,
I think that dark skinned people and people of a darker hue in our own community want to feel safe, loved, and beautiful. And when you have
But that's not my job. That's
no, it's not your job, but it's also not your job to make any sort of disparaging remarks around any shade of Blackness.
So that goes back to the question.
If you enjoy a certain aesthetic, let that be your aesthetic. Shout out to my sister Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Hey, you're not supposed to be reading the chat.
That's my sister, though. I sang it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Maria.
I'm gonna say that goes back to that whole question about the definition of colorism, right? And about preference, right? So I shared that for me, colorism involves some kind of detrimental treatment, right? Treating one person away, particularly because of color, or disparaging somebody because of complexion. And for me, that's where the color. And I'm Michael, I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm saying,
but don't please don't think for 1 minute a light-skinned sister don't love the attention because she's light-skinned.
Okay.
And being in corporate America, I've seen where light-skinned black.
You say we do?
What?
Sunshine, you said we do?
I said, thank you for saying that, Michael. There's some light-skinned people that actually love the attention.
They love the attention.
And I'm so glad you said
I just
that.
need them to own it.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly why many people in the dark-skinned community say that light-skinned people cannot experience colorism, because you said that right there. And that's exactly why.
Do what?
Okay.
Light-skinned people cannot experience colorism.
Let me just go a step further and say they can't experience racism.
I don't agree with that.
You know what? I'm kind of in the middle, because when I hear statements like, "Oh, we enjoy the attention that this white supremacist trope has given us," it makes me feel like, well, maybe
Who's the white supremacist trope? Who's
colorism? Colorism is rooted in white supremacy.
No, it's not.
We know that.
Colorism is, yes.
We all know that, right?
Yes, it is. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Please, let's start on that.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you on that. And as I said, colorism is a part of the white supremacist and racist agenda to use to keep Black people further distracted.
I think it's a problem when
we really need to be focused.
One person at a time. Go ahead, Reggie, and then Michael.
The colorism is just one of those other barriers that's used to keep Black people distracted from the real issues that we really need to be working on in our society. Yeah, it's just another way to deflect the current issues that are going on in our society. Oh man, what about those light-skinned girls over there? Aren't they getting more privilege than the dark-skinned girls? But what is our main agenda? You know what I'm saying? Our main agenda should be our fight against racism and white supremacy. But once you throw in colorism, now we're deflected from the agenda that's in front of us.
But if it's real and is affecting our community, we have
because we watch more television than anyone. Our community does, and so we're bombarded with it more. It's on our mind more than most people.
I think that's where the programming. I think that's where the programming come in.
It does.
But I'm thinking what Michael was explaining is that experience of his, and that's his experience. We can't even, begin to understand his experience. That's his experience. Some of us.
And let's be clear. Colorism is anybody who's been, to me. I mean, Indians have colorism. Everybody. I mean, anybody.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people have, a lot of different cultures have colorism, but specifically with Black folks and how we oppress ourselves around it is a very interesting, especially when it comes into relationships and how we choose and how we have been programmed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your parents,
individual light-skinned sisters that find a darker-skinned Black man attractive. What voice do they have?
I think it's programming, it's conditioning, it's also trauma. Okay, let's remember that we are a community that has come across many brutal treatment in all sorts of different ways, emotionally, physically, psychologically. And so if we are walking around with trauma, whether it was done to us as a child or older, that is not still a necessary place to say, oh, this is my preference. This might be your opportunity for healing.
So let's
So
hold on. I have a question. So let's bring it back to you guys in your experience, right? Because we have 6 different looking people on this panel, right? And so my thing is, it's just like, how has your hue and look like impacted how you present in your life, in your relationships, in your job? And I think colorism is, I think your color starts, but then there's other things that are assumed about you. Go ahead, Reggie.
So it goes back to the aesthetics. It goes back to my phenotype. I'm a black man. Okay. I have black phenotype features. I have a big nose. I have big lips. When you look at me physically, I'm built like a black man would be built. So they rule all of that out unless I come in and I just really start acting like other. I start cooning and bucking my eyes and acting, just really.
Wait, cooning?
Well, to fit into that image.
Right, but even in from let's.
So what I mean is, not all people who are light skinned, not only do they love to take advantage of themselves being light skinned, but they also take on the sort of the ideologies and principles of what whiteness looks like. It's now talking more nasal. Hey, how are you today? It's taking on the culture of the people who dominate you. Those are the things that I'm talking about. I can't get away from my deep voice. I can't talk like that. So that's what I mean is if I come into the workplace and I'm acting like that and I'm trying to, further perpetuate the light-skinnedness of me being more close to, people who are white to make them feel comfortable, then, it's not going to work because my phenotype
but I'm talking about within our circles, right? Within black circles. Let's really break it down.
Okay.
I think that's where it really matters.
Okay.
Go ahead. I mean, we know what white people think, but when we get amongst us, it's a different. It's an
Natalie,
man, we're unmerciful. We're unmerciful when it comes to us. You black, so and so, you yellow, red, whatever, all of that stuff, man. We are, when it comes to us, getting on each other. That's what we do. We make it really bad.
And even in our own families too. Yeah.
I prefaced the question that you said to me, Nat, and I said that sometimes I had to fight, what I'm saying, because it got that deep when you got around certain people and they had a certain level of hate and vitriol towards my light skin. I can't help it, but those are one of the things I had to defend verbally and also sometimes physically because people treated you different. My solace was in sports because sports was the meritocracy that didn't care what color you were. It's about your performance. So that's what saved me.
Somebody said, I know I need therapy because I'm attracted to dark-skinned men. Go ahead, Mike.
But do we need therapy for being attracted? I mean, what if our fathers, in certain situations, sometimes the first man that we admire or love is our dad. And sometimes our dad is
My dad was
light-skinned,
and I have a preference for the brown hues. So that
right. But sometimes it's our own parents that we have that, admiration for.
Right,
And
but I get Anthea to you. Like, how has your hue impacted how you present, your hue and your look? And I want y'all to really think about everything because
I am.
Go ahead.
I am, and it depends on where I am. It depends on my geography. If I'm in Antigua, I am, and amongst my family, I'm light skinned, and I forever as a child been. Oh, you're the red one or whatever. And that did not make me feel bad at all. I actually smirked when they actually did that because to me,
do they treat you like a princess?
That was attention for me, So I was like, okay, they all hating on my light skin. I'm cute, whatever, and maybe I'm minimizing it. Maybe I have trauma and I don't even know that I have trauma. But I feel like I've been able to dance on the fence and the spectrum of I'm dark in this geography and I'm light in this geography, I was more, sexualized because my body had developed really earlier. So the big butts, the thick legs, and the big breasts, those are the things that pretty much were more of a pronounced thing for me than my actual complexion. But you grow. But what I would tell the community to do is when you have kids and people start comparing them, that is where I think every parent should draw the line. Do not compare the kids. Do not say who's prettier and who's not prettier, because that's what happened between me and my sister. And I think the both of us have not really recovered from that relationship based on trying to pit us against each other as who's lighter is who's cuter or whatever.
Right.
Society
That I
would.
think.
Go ahead, Michael.
Look, I've worked on Wall Street for 27 years. I have worked in some of the premier white shoe firms on Wall Street. And I've seen how two different people, Black people, interact with dark-skinned brothers. One, meaning the light-skinned male who corporate will try to boost or trying to convert into this whatever upper management, took full advantage the fact that they were light skinned. They took full advantage of it.
Michael, how did they do that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And we, the dark skinned brothers, had to sort of, we knew how to play that. We knew that those light skinned brothers knew that they were the shit, like, because not because they were any talented or they worked any harder than us. They just knew that, hey, with the light skin, the little curly hair and all that bullshit that they walk around with this uppity attitude that they think they're the best.
I've seen those brothers before. Yeah.
Okay. And would, in front of us, would talk about how, yeah, we're Black. When it came down to if we're doing a deal, and we're getting screwed by white management, and this light-skinned brother would be like, yeah, I'm with you guys. And when it was time to go to do the battle, and you're like, where the fuck are you, bro?
You got the okie doke.
Where are you?
Michael?
Yeah.
Huh?
You got the okie doke. They okie
Yes.
doke.
Then they were the light-skinned sisters who sided with the brothers. They stood with the brothers. That, to me, had a tremendous amount of influence on me. So I just wanted to say that there's a big difference where you have light-skinned Black men who have fully taken advantage of the fact that they were light-skinned. They presented well to corporate America, whatever it was.
So Michael, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you here. How do you feel that corporate America say they have a preference for the lighter men than the darker men?
I have no problem with it because I understand the white man will play his game of dividing us. I get it. I understand why that started. That goes all the way back to when the Greeks first invaded Kemet. We knew what they were doing. If you're a history buff, we knew this. But I don't have a problem with the white man doing it. It's when a brother knows that he is being played. He's a pawn, and he's playing along with it. That's the problem.
But what is interesting? So the funny thing is, you said, and the licensed sisters would go along with it. So are you
would go along with us? They would side with it, or if they are an assistant, like for instance, we had one light-skinned sister who was the assistant to the head of investment banking.
Yeah.
And would tell us, hey, listen, this is going to happen. This is what you guys need to position yourself here, position your clients here. And they're looking to give you these amount of shares when you guys deserve this. She would look out. But the light-skinned brother, we see him coming like we're going to get screwed.
So, Michael, here's the thing.
Wait. Go ahead. Go ahead, Reggie, and then Maria.
Probably what happened. the modern
and
example is
Reggie, this
that
is something to you as well. You're saying that you had growing up, you had issues because they would make fun of you because you were light skinned, but then I'm sure you probably, I don't know, but I'm sure somewhere down the line you took advantage of it. I don't know, but this is my experience from what light skinned men have done. I don't.
Well, the most modern day example would be T.J. Holmes. How T.J. Holmes was the comfortable black person that they felt that could be promoted. Like you said, he checked all the boxes. He was handsome. He light skinned. He
got the hair,
the hair. He had all of those things until he got up in there. He was banging up all the white women, and then they had a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Where you're coming from with it when you say about the light skinned women would side with the dark skinned women was probably that the light-skinned women began to understand that they were only being sexually objectified in the workplace. And so their fight was against the white men and also the white women, because the white women don't want no light-skinned, pretty sister running around there baiting sometimes and at times maybe seeing those white men just fall over to be close to that black light-skinned woman. So that was their problem.
I think also, and it's funny because I think about my sister, and she's like, I do think I've had more career advantages due to color, but also to her look, right? I think it's how you present. Like it's I do believe like.
But what is the presentation?
But the presentation matters,
but
right?
What is it?
The color, look.
The way you talk.
Right. It's the
see what I'm saying?
It's the way you look. It's how you're put together. It's all about the presentation.
It's your hair. It's your features. It's all of that.
Right. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work that goes into being a coon. A lot of times you have to. That's a lot of practice, man. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. When I use the word coon, it's a person who's going out of his way to try and make white people like them in the workplace. They're talking, speaking, dressing. Okay. They are doing everything in their power to identify with their oppressor. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying.
So Maria, you had a point, and then continue.
So I was actually, my point was a little bit back, so I'm going to go a little bit back anyway. You asked the question about
how did it impact you?
And about complexion. Is it just about complexion? And right, and it's not just about complexion. You all were talking about, both you and Reggie were talking about having lighter skin, but having very African features, right? And so as a light-skinned Black woman who does not have as many African features as some of you on the panel, right? People have made assumptions because of the full presentation, not just the skin complexion. That has impacted it, but I got picked on because of my nose. I do not have a black nose, right? And if I turn profile, you'll really see it with the big old bump right in the middle. But so I got picked on for that. I was teased for other things, right? Not having such a full ass, even though I have hips, and for my chest size at a young age. And so all those things impacted, right, how I presented. I can't change some of that. And I also had a professor once who told me that some of the most militant people he has ever met have been the lighter skinned Black people, because we fight so hard to prove how Black we are. And if we look at how you present, right, with hair, with conversation, even if you're in corporate America, right, or wherever it is that you happen to be, if your mentality is too Black, it don't matter how light you are, they're not going to fuck with you. They don't want folks that are going to present, even if you look like this. If I still present too Black, there's certain places that are not going to entertain me. I've been told, gotten comments about when my hair was locked, about when I braid my hair. People have said, "Oh, you trying to be more Black, or you think you look more Black?" And so those things are things that I think we need to consider in the conversation.
And I think that there's a way to consider that into the conversation, because you have the degrees in colorism. Colorism is more of the system where a darker hue Black person really suffering and not being able being able to be offered the same life as a light-skinned Black. But then you have trophyism. You also have fetishism, fetishizing Black skin and the whole Mandingo trope. It's the trophyism of having the light-skinned woman on your arm that's not white, but she's very close to it.
So the funny thing is,
I just wanted to talk about my own personal, being identify as a dark-skinned woman. However, in spaces, whoever said about the bodies, because of my body, because of the way I develop, tits and ass, curves and things like that, more of a traditionally pretty face or whatever, I was put into spaces where my peers would talk about how they felt in corporate America as dark-skinned women. One of the things, for instance, that we all could relate to is being in corporate America and getting that email, that joke where they're talking about, how many Black people it takes to screw in a light bulb. It takes none because they're in jail. And then it's like, oh, Jerome, don't get mad. And it's the microaggressions being in those spaces with light-skinned people, with brown-skinned people who say, oh, but you're pretty. You are pretty for a Black girl. Those type of microaggressions. When I was on a panel the other day and the man said something like, oh, I had the baddest girl in high school. She was Black, Italian. She had that good hair. The microaggressions that we feel as Black people, and we know that. I'm on a chat. I won't say any names on the chat, but there's a microaggression on the chat. And yes, I am bringing it up. Saying things like, I will stick to my upper class light-skinned sister. They know how to act in public. All my light-skinned sisters in the chat, put your hands up. And it was a joke. Just like Jerome in corporate America, who has to look at these racist jokes from his good old boy white counterparts, but it's a joke. And I think that these jokes, who are laughing? Who's laughing at them? They're microaggressions. And for me, that's how I have experienced so often as a dark-skinned woman.
Okay. All right.
That make me go back and look at the chat. I missed all that.
I mean,
I'm not saying on that. I
didn't say a name.
So let's get into. I mean, look, Stacked After Hours is about love and relationships. Right? Let's get into the shit that's really uncomfortable. Don't put your hood out. See, Michael got off the chat. Reggie trying to put his hood on.
I have a question for
Reggie. You want to be a Black man?
I got a question for Dr. Reggie, but I'll wait.
But let's how is it affecting who you are choosing? You're having children by. I was raised like you don't want to marry a certain type of man because you want to think about your children and you want to make it easier for them. Now I don't have children.
Ooh, yeah, that's deep. So,
I don't have children, but I want us to be honest.
Natalie,
go ahead. What are your children? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Reggie.
That's some deep-seated self-esteem issues when you start using that as a barometer to, how you want to choose people in your life, people you want to be around, people you want to date. That's some really deep-seated self-esteem issues that really need to be, addressed, early in the early stages of your life. That's also something that you grow up with, how you're conditioned, with your family, your friends. Man, I've seen it though. Don't get it twisted. I've seen that actually happen where brothers are like, man, I don't want to have no children by no, dark-skinned woman. I don't want no black ass kids. I was like, dude, what are you saying? Because that's weird and evil to say, but that's the way that
Reggie, you have a son, right?
Yeah.
Was his mother chocolate, brown? What?
She's in the middle.
Okay.
She's like,
were you strategic with your choice?
Huh?
Were you strategic with your choice?
No, because I like the person. You know, I
Okay.
the person is what mattered to me. Yeah. I mean, my sister's dark skinned. My dad is dark skinned. My great grandfather is black as a remote.
So what has been your preference in women when you think over the spectrum of who you have dated? What has been your preference?
Uh, the brain, if they're smart.
Okay, but Reggie, you don't get to know
Aesthetically, so we start talking about aesthetically.
aesthetically. You know what I'm asking. Stop playing.
They have to be easy on the eyes. They have to be attractive. I don't get into really deep seated dark skin all the way light skin thing. That's just never been my thing. Anybody that knows me, they'll tell you I've dated. They've seen me with everything. So yeah, it's never been a problem for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Maria.
So my family runs the gamut. I've dated the gamut, except I have not dated white. I have not dated lighter than me, redder than me, but not lighter than me. And I have two boys. I will be honest. I wanted to have children when I was younger. I always said I did not want to marry a light skinned guy. And I remember my mother's friend getting really mad at me, right? And this was a light skinned woman. And she said, I was so disappointed with you. I lost so much respect for you. And I was like 15, 16. But when I tried to explain why, it was because of the challenges I had, right, with people understanding where I fit in and how I fit in, or if I even fit in. And I wanted to spare them that. Now, the way things played out, I did not have neither one of my children are one is like my complexion, and the other is only is a little bit browner. And they, I've spoken to them about this, and one of them doesn't have the same issues, but the other one has a lot of the same issues, right? And I remember with one of them, his grandfather was really dark, and I remember wishing, okay, let him get that gene, please let him get a little bit of that gene. And I mean, I know it's my issue, but that's how that my experience had affected me. And I still, if I'm to choose a person aesthetically, I want a darker brother. I'm drawn to a darker brother. And I think part of the reason I'm drawn to them is because of my experiences, even though I like a good looking man, black man.
Okay.
So there's a question in the chat that I think is really interesting, but I'm not sure if it's going to take us down a rabbit hole.
Uh-oh. And it is.
Go ahead. I wanted Kim and we'll have let him finish. Go ahead, Kim, and then we'll
go ahead, Kim. Yeah.
Okay. So my children's dad, my ex-husband, dark skinned man. My father, light skin, hazel eyes, curly hair, all that stuff. And I have dated everyone in between. For me, I think my attraction, my aesthetics, my physical attraction is really more about, I do like African phenotype facial features in a man. I do like that. Broad nose, eyes, full lips. The complexion never really was a thing, and I've had all like me. And so my children range from light red, light brown to dark skin. I have 4 children, and they literally are all complexion in all shades, and they're beautiful, gorgeous. We focus on their dental hygiene. We focus on body.
Girl.
No, I'm so serious. Like we focus on those types of things. Their dental, hearing, they get regular eye visits, all of that. Their medical and skincare, taking care of their body, the smell. That's what I focus with my children, not complexion.
Okay. Michael.
Good for you.
Michael. So, you said your ex-wife was light skinned. And one of my questions.
Michael is on mute.
Oh, I said, yeah, unmute yourself. I said, I asked, it's just like, how has that played out in who you have chosen? And was there a motive around wanting to have, because you are a chocolate brother, wanting to have lighter skinned children?
I had no idea. I didn't. That whole thing, just what you just said about having light skin.
Or children who look a little bit more, well, he just froze. All right. I don't know what happened, but we'll come back. Anthony, go ahead and ask the question.
Well, this is from Malik, and he does make a good point, which is that our weaves, contact bleaching, and other attempts at white ascension a subtle form of colorism? I think that's a fair question to ask in this conversation.
Yeah, we'll ask that. Michael, go ahead and finish, and then we'll answer.
And he's on mute.
You're on mute
I
again.
disconnected with you guys. Sorry. No, I didn't. Not once did I think about having light-skinned kids. I met a woman who happened to be attracted to me. I was attracted to her, and she was light-skinned. And I fell in love with the woman, and we built a wonderful life.
Okay.
That's it. To hear that people are talking about that.
And here we go.
Somebody say Mike got a light skin Wi-Fi.
He does got a light skin Wi-Fi. They acting light skin. D Parks is hilarious. Michael, you're still on mute. Just finish your point, and then we're gonna go ahead. Go ahead. You finished your point? Yeah. Okay. All right. And so the question that Anthea asked, weaves.
Well, it was from Malik.
From Malik. Weaves, contacts, whatever, the things that enhance our whiteness. Because I know folks who still wear contacts. I was shocked when I saw somebody still in contacts at this day and age. Reggie, you're on mute.
I apologize, guys. I'm losing connection here.
That's okay. We'll come back to you, Michael. Go ahead, Reggie.
I mean, that's a great question, because that's the problem that I have a lot of times when people go out of the way to change their features, their eyes, wearing more hair than what's really needed, just going out of the way, even the way they dress, like Undercover Brother. Remember him, how when he was dating the white lady in the movie, and he was wearing cardigan sweaters, button down shirts. That's what I'm talking about, when people just go over the board to really fit in, rather than letting it just be natural, in the workplace, shirt, tie, all those things. But when you start just going out of the way to just fit in, you start perming your hair and wearing a comb over and, trying to look like Justin Bieber, those kind of things just really weird me out, especially when it, with women too. It's just, that's the crazy stuff that I see, that I have a problem with. So when I said the word cooning, people sort of cringed, but that's what I mean, to be a coon, to try to change who you are and your identity. That's what you're doing. You're trying to fit in and get as close as possible to people who don't look like you. I heard a person say one time, the problem in our society now, especially Black culture, is that we hate who we are Black and love who we never can be, which is white. That's where we need to start dealing with the healing part of it is. Stop trying to fit into somewhere that you can never be, and try your best to be who you are. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
I think that it has a lot to do with, upbringing, what you secure yourself in. For me, I'm very much an advocate of love the skin that you are in. I'm glad that you use the picture, from Naked Yoga, because I like to be able to express my Black skin and be a representative of that skin, being beautiful, loving my skin, being confident in my skin, and happy to have it. I do think that when I see now, and you go into skincare, you have to read. You have to read the ingredients, because the ingredients have whiteners, bleachers, lighteners, brighteners, and all of these things. And yes, sometimes we are getting these things on our skin. We don't even know that it's lightening our skin. Is every woman who has a weave, wig, or protective style trying to be white? No. Are they sometimes? Yes. So I think that there's areas of gray in your question. And
you know what, Kim? It's funny. I went down south with actually Anthea and Maria. We went to Houston and we went out. And my friend, she's just like, girl, I'm about to get this ponytail because I know the boys gonna like it. It's gonna bring the boys to the yard. I mean, we do things. Come on, ladies and gents. We do things to validate attention.
Right.
It brings us attention. And
What
she,
about
and you know
what
what?
is that
what
attention?
about the weeds? What about the
Defined in
weeds?
white.
I mean, I
Wait,
met
wait,
someone
wait.
the other day.
Let me finish.
Is that
It,
attention defined in whiteness, or is it defined in something else?
it was definitely defined in whiteness. I was
Okay.
just like,
The other
let's
day,
The ponytails, yes.
that ponytail.
Natalie.
It was that ponytail brought the boys to the yard. And
Okay.
she is a she's a beautiful sister, light-skinned sister, but it was so interesting to watch because it was like the wolves were on the hunt. And honey, it was like flies to shit. I'm sorry. It wasn't like, but it was like bees to honey. Like they love that honey, and she knew exactly what it bought. So
But a white woman will put on a ponytail. A white woman will put a ponytail on. White waitresses braid their hairs in pigtails.
right, but
because
Kim,
they
what
know
I'm
that
But what
they're
about a black
That's
woman
nothing
who
to do with
puts
right,
who
right.
Let's not
is dark
start
who is
to
dark skinned
dilute
who is
the
dark
point.
skinned, right? Dark skinned and put a blonde hair, this blonde wig on, looking like a stoplight, a yield light. And what does that say? What does that say? Is that colorism? Does that person
my whole point was it
who
wasn't
just went
I didn't
and
even say
gorilla
whether she was
glued
light
a
skinned or
big
dark
wig
skinned.
on top of her head? What does
So-
that say?
So I think we're talking about two different things. I think
We are
Natalie,
talking about
I want to kind of co-sign that because I remember when I went to that party and I put the round the way girl ponytail on, and the reactions and the comments were about the ponytail. So it wasn't that, all of a sudden they saw me differently.
But
But no, Maria.
don't you think that you were
Maria,
creating that
Maria,
look?
I have to disagree with you. I can imagine it would be different with certain people got on a ponytail and you got on a ponytail. Like I think it's the embodiment of you with the ponytail on because they believe it's actually yours.
And see, that's something different.
So
They believe that ponytail is actually yours.
That's something with the inner freak inside of Maria that's being unleashed. That
No,
might not
no,
be.
it was
Wait,
not.
That ain't
a
what
minute.
we're talking about.
Maria,
That
pass?
was not it
Have
at
you
all.
ever tried to pass?
Huh?
Have you ever tried to pass for white?
Have I what?
Ever tried to pass
Fuck
for white?
no.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I've never worn a ponytail. My forehead is too big, but
So
I don't know.
I
So-
put on this really, really, really long ponytail for the purpose, right?
I don't know.
D Parks around the way pony. Yes, from that it was the old school party D Parks.
So
But-
one of the commentary from Alex Jones is really interesting, and he says colorism it is relating to your skin tone. A black person trying to have more Eurocentric features is just racism.
I don't know if a black person can try to have more. I think either you have it or you don't. But I think
we're putting in the contacts, the blue contacts,
It's nose
the
job.
blonde,
Right,
whatever.
right,
Yes.
but I think it's
The extreme contouring.
Yeah.
For me, it's the hair. It's the hair.
It's like the
That-
nose.
that's it.
Let me add this about the hair. Black women back on the continent have been dyeing their hair for years. Now, I'm not saying we were going blonde. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we have been dyeing and changing our hair for years. So that's not something new. I think what is new is when perhaps when we use textures that are not related to ours or things that are that far away from our culture. I think that's what's the new thing.
That's not new either. I mean, Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker, they got tired of wearing the wigs and the pieces, so
Yes, I'm talking. New thing. We're talking about 20th century. I'm talking about ancient Africa.
The hair
talking about
is very complex. I believe the hair is very complex.
It is, but Kim, I'm talking about.
Kim, can you give me
newer thing? I'm talking about when we were still running, when we were back before enslavement. That's what I'm talking about. So when you're talking about the 20th century, that's the newer thing.
But I want us to kind of keep it. Can we keep it current, y'all? Because that really helps us to learn who we are right now.
I think some light-skinned women look pretty with blonde hair.
So blonde, whatever. So let me, because Tanera, she's like, the ponytail has nothing to do with white. It has all to do with style and being sexy. Ponytail, whatever. I agree, but I do believe. I'm saying the men's response to it was very interesting.
Well, I mean, so the sexy part of the ponytail is, of course, you can imagine what they want to do with that ponytail, right? So I'm not sure that it was meant to be. I'm sorry. I always come in with the left.
But there's always a danger with that. It may come off, right?
Well, not for your light-skinned girls, Michael.
That's right. My light-skinned girls have their own hair.
I took the ponytail off and kind of swung it,
right? You heard what he said, right?
Oh my God, Michael. You know what?
Listen, listen. Somebody has to fight for the light-skinned girls in here. Stop it. Stop it. I'm not. I've yet begun to fight for the light-skinned girls, okay?
So I like Tanera's response, though.
They do not need your help.
Tanera's like, the men respond with or without the ponytail.
Get it, Tanera.
They do.
They do.
They do respond to the ponytail. But look.
That's one of the things that you all don't
understand. I have a question for Dr. Reginald before we leave. But
yes.
Let me brace myself.
Wait. I have a question. Can I ask it?
Yeah.
Ask it.
Okay. So on one of the last times you were on Stacked After Hours, the show, you guys have to go back, check it out. You made a very interesting comment about sleeping with a million women. So I was wondering, is that
that was not him.
That was somebody else.
That wasn't you.
You got the wrong. You getting the wrong people.
That was Will Chamberlain.
You think all bald-headed, light-skinned men look alike him?
You have Will Chamberlain on the show.
That's racism. That's colorism.
That's colorism.
No, it was you.
No, not Dr. Reggie. It was not Dr. Reggie Kim.
I would never disclose how many women I've slept with.
Nah, it wasn't him. Everybody's like, that ain't him.
That ain't him.
Wasn't he on the panel and they started
talking? No, that was the y'all watch that. That was the what is feminism?
Listen, you're giving me too much credit saying I slept with a million women.
Oh my God.
Then scratch that question.
Reggie do all kind of stuff here, but we ain't gonna make nobody lie on him.
I don't think I'll be on the show.
The fact that we are,
and you are black and beautiful,
right? Anthony W has a great point. He said, "What does the fact that we are still having this 400-year-old conversation say about us as a people? Are we okay?
Yeah, are
we
not moving on? Are we not gonna?"
We're not okay.
Help therapy to heal.
So can I answer that question?
We need
Dr. Reggie, may I just say something real quickly?
Go ahead, Michael, and then Dr. Reggie. Go ahead.
Is it a problem though if this is your preference? I can't understand it. If this is what you like, why is it a problem after 400 years? If a light-skinned person is attracted to your skin tone, is it really a problem? When does it become a problem?
For other people, it's not a problem for you, Michael. And that's the difference. But what Dr. Umar was just recently talking about, the difference between individualism and community. When you're thinking as an individual, you will say things like, oh, there's nothing wrong with loving light-skinned girls. They have the nice hair. Ha, ha, ha. I'm just joking.
That was my point about the ponytail. There's an idea that certain women are going to have nice hair.
Right? But
it's believable. It's going to be believable on some people where it's not on others. That was my point.
But in the community setting, as being a Black man in the community that wants to raise strong Black children in our community, there's another mindset that we have to have. And it's not just about our own individual personal narratives and experiences. It's the experiences of our brothers and sisters. After 400 years, we are not okay. After 400 years, we are not the same as other cultures. After 400 years, we do need some things to unpack, and we don't need to just joke about it or trivialize it or victim blame.
So how do you think we start healing? How do you think we start healing, Kim?
Hold on, let's go ahead. Hold on, Dr. Reggie, and then we'll go back to the hand. Go ahead.
To answer that question, we really have to start understanding and teaching what racism and white supremacy is. Because if you're not talking about racism and white supremacy, you're really not talking about anything, because that is the power dynamic that continues to control us as a race of people. Remember at the start of the show, I talked about the deflective tactics that are used in the system of racism and white supremacy. Mm-hmm. If we weren't talking about colorism, think about the other things that we could be focusing our attention on, having a code of conduct among our people, being able to talk about doing business with each other. What's the curriculum for our children to not have to even worry about colorism, in our society? But
that's the point, Reggie. I think that's the point of this show, because no matter what other conversation we've been having, we still always end up with this sort of underlying undertone of an issue. And that's why we want to just bring this up tonight. Let's have the conversation here. And I'm not saying it's a one and done thing, but it's obvious that some of us are still experiencing trauma from our childhood. Some of us need to seek therapy and actually put those teachings in therapy into action, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, we're just going to be continuing this conversation for another 400 years to come.
So light skin shouldn't be loved. As light skin women shouldn't be loved because it will be seen as colorism.
So let's bring it to, actually everybody should be loved, right? I think the thing is, like, how do we start to accept whether we're brown, whether we have European features, African features, whether our hair is kinky, straight? How can we start to really see the beauty in who we are as a people, which is very diverse, right? It's so diverse, and we have such a broad spectrum, but we have become competitive. It has created a crabs in a barrel syndrome. So how do we start to erase that with the conversations of being really honest about, what, I like my light skin, or no, I like it, but it's uncomfortable, but I've been able to move in certain spaces and use it to my advantage. Or we have to own where we are and our own accountability around it, right? Because we talk about it in theory, but we don't talk about it with ourselves and our experience. So I think this conversation, and Anthony was like, can this be the last conversation? I was like, I don't know. I was like, we have to because it always comes up. It's a continuous conversation, just like all the other conversations we have on this show. So
Dr. Umar is not a therapist, but he made a really good point as a Black man and as a man of the community. Now, I mean, I didn't say, I wasn't quoting his therapy skills.
Okay, somebody just sent me a picture of their semi-nude body. I would not call this profane, and I would not call this pornographic, because she's a very beautiful woman. Whoever you are drop dead gorgeous, and you are extra 5 thick in the thighs. I appreciate the IQ.
Guys, just easily.
It is consciousness over the cookies. It is politics.
Game.
That's who we're quoting. Yes.
Game. And it is nothing but a pastor. That's all he is.
You know what? It's time.
Two things can be correct at one time. The point that he made.
Big brother Ifa Tunde, to keep his testosterone focused on the shocking.
Okay, Montaigne, we get it.
The point that he made about individualism and community, I still agree with that. Do I agree with all his points? Probably not. I don't know all his points, to be quite honest. But that individualism and that community, that's good. And I recommend everybody to go and get that clip. Watch that clip too, because it looks really funny. But also look at that other clip, because we are very complex people. We are not a monolith as black folks. We are not a monolith. Light skin is not weird. They're not monoliths. Dark skinned women, not monoliths. Women, not monoliths. So for me, it begins there. It's not trivializing people's experiences because it makes you feel uncomfortable. It's not victim blaming because you may have been the abuser, but it's really stepping into your adult humanness and looking at things with more compassion, kindness, and the mindset that accountability is not about punishment. Accountability is about opportunity to reflect and change. So we're going to always have this conversation. And what is wrong with that?
So Kim, what is wrong with, at this point, you do not agree with anyone liking someone based on their hue?
I wouldn't say that. What I would say is when you privilege someone, when you go into these, when people go into these rants or into these championing a hue over another hue, well, you know, them dark skinned men will put it on you. Come on.
The only people that have problem with this is dark skin.
And we as the community that fetish is coming from, participating in it, that will keep it going.
But Kim, didn't you earlier say that you prefer a man with a stronger man, a big, strong man? You talked about the type of physical features that you like. Isn't that your preference?
Yes, and that's the thing. It's this guilt feeling that people who say, "Oh yes, I have an aesthetic and I own it." We all agreed with owning what you like.
Right.
One thing that is true. What else is true? If you champion another hue or your hue because of that hue, that is colorism. It's colorism.
We're gonna wrap it up because we gotta go. We gotta go, y'all. We gotta go. I want everybody who's watching.
So I'm sorry, I'm laughing because
whether you've had trauma or issues or whatever else, it really is just like start to look at yourself and what are you not accepting about yourself? What do you love about yourself? But also more importantly, what have you allowed to continue in the narrative because half the shit is a story in the first place. And if you haven't started to really reprogram your story and really start to work on yourself and understand like it's more than just your skin, it's more than your hues or your hair or whatever people have told you about who you are or trying, you don't got to prove shit to nobody.
Yeah, you like what you like.
You like what you like.
Don't be guilty about it.
We have
Michael suffers with his choice.
Well, you know what?
Suffers?
Listen. I will continue to have this revolution. I will continue to have this revolution for my light-skinned sisters.
You know what, Michael?
1804, 2003.
Listen to what I'm saying.
See, that's
Michael, you can have your revolution.
He's joking,
I've begun to fight.
Right.
He's joking.
That's right. He's joking.
But either way, I want everybody to just kind of look and be it themselves. Like if that is who you are, embrace it. But the revolution is what I damn
I just want to say, I think her booty looks amazing.
But you know what's so crazy, Natalie? Let me just say this real quickly.
Yes.
If the dark-skinned sisters had a chance to be as light as a light skin, they would in a minute. Plain and simple.
Light skin lives matter. Oh, that's lovely.
Oh
It
wow.
does.
Let's close it out with this question. Do we
Yes.
still believe that our exoticism or non-black is power in the world we live in?
Oh God, yeah.
Say what?
I
Reggie.
think it's getting, honestly, as the only dark skinned person up here, I think it's less and less.
And I think, Kim, I think you're beautiful. You're beautiful.
I am. Thank you. I'm glad you realized that.
Michael, what about you?
But let's just look at celebrity world. Let's look at how Keke Palmer responded to everyone saying that she didn't have all the, open doors as Zendaya. She was
Right.
like, yes, I did. And I am great.
Right.
I think the same thing with Beyonce and Kelly. Like there are shifts. I believe there are shifts. Just the opportunity to be able to, for dark-skinned men and women to be able to talk about colorism and it be listened to is happening in our younger generation.
Right. So, Kim, I'm going to pause you because I wanted to take it into everybody, my other folks. Maria, do you believe that there is still beauty, the belief of beauty of exoticism and non-black still holds power in our community today?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. And I think you see it, not as much as it did before, but I think you see it when you have people like Drake talking about Team Light Skin, right? And you have that whole chant and people follow and believe it. It's continuing the same kind of conversations and the same division that's been happening forever.
Reggie?
I agree. We got to stop this stuff, man, because all it does is keeps us divided. Again, it's another one of those barriers that's put, out there to keep us off of our main goal, which is our fight, against systematic racism and white supremacy. When we have these barriers in front of us to keep deflecting us and, keeping us away from coming together, for things that should not matter, such as colorism, then the system is winning. That's all I can say. Yeah.
First of all, the comment section is
they're a riot.
I wish that the jokes, they were actual comedians and they were getting paid. I think it would be a little bit more funnier.
Look,
professional.
One of the greatest books written by Walter Williams, the destruction of the Black civilization. And it goes into that and how that when it happened in Kemet in ancient Egypt, it destroyed, and white people start using colorism or light skin versus dark skin to have a better understanding of why we're here. But let me just say this. My individual preference, I love a
Lord have mercy. We already know, Mike.
Yeah. We know.
Someone has to defend the light-skinned sisters out there. Someone has to defend it. I don't care.
Michael, man, if you don't stop it, brother.
I got the candles lit right here for you ladies. You light-skinned sisters, I got the candles.
Oh my God. Michael, make me have a hot flash.
Michael?
Yes.
Michael, you are a hot mess. Yeah.
Can I just say something? Tell Jan. Jan asked a question in the chat. I'll send you a link for the gray ponytail, Jan.
I can't. Goodbye. You know what? I hate y'all. But I love y'all. You guys.
Long live.
Long live.
Drink your water.
Vive, Mon Claire. Vive, my light-skinned sister.
I'm raising my fist for all
Black people. I'm raising my fist for all of us because we are a beautiful people, and I want us to. We are really the problem is we believe we're at the bottom of the totem pole when we're truly at the top, and we got to start. But Michael, let me say this: we got to start believing it. We gonna end it on that. Bye, y'all. See you in September. Great show. Thank you, Dr. Reggie. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Maria. And of course, thank you, Sunshine. See y'all in the after party. Come to the after party, y'all. We'll drop
to the after party.
Lord have mercy. Y'all come for Michael. I feel like the sisters go, Michael, you about to get decapitated, honey, up in the after party. It's okay though. He can handle it because the revolution was not
the light skin revolution.
The light skin revolution.
Strong leader.
Yes.
For your light skinned women.
But either way.
I love all hues, by the way.
Yes,
I love all.
I love only one hue.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Come to the after party. Montaigne, take us out. See you guys. Oh, we got Martha's Vineyard, and we have go to our hold on. Go to our IG page because we have a bunch of meetups, and we're going to Martha's Vineyard. We are going to have a couple live shows in person, so let us know. Come through, come support. We'll see you guys. Watch the shows. They have been off the chain. See y'all in September.
It is politics before the punani. It is revolution over romance. And it is business before the bedroom. So what I need you to do, my 5'5" thick in the thigh voluptuous sister, is donate to the shockumentary and allow.
Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours. The Spot by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.